Hello everyone, my name is Eduardo Fimeister, and today I'm going to do first a presentation of one of the courses that is presented by Regulate, and this course is about the trustworthy AI and is divided in two courses. One is related to the assessment, and another is related to the management. First, I want to just cover everything that is related to the assessment approach and some tools that exist already for their evaluation. For example, the TAI tool. The first thing that when we are going to be considering everything that is related to trustworthy AI, we have to evaluate how the concepts of ethics were included in artificial intelligence. Isn't everyone supposed to be aware or have interacted in different ways with artificial intelligence? For example, everyone is using ChatGPT at this moment, but it has implemented in different domains: healthcare, bank, manufacturing, et cetera, as robotics, or for example, for image processing, and different characteristics that make artificial intelligence a very broad applicable tool. Independent of that, the government have been aware of this expansion of the use of artificial intelligence, and of course, it could have negative impacts in society. There's two trends that have been existed in order to see the negative impact of artificial intelligence. One is related for the modification of the workplace, and therefore humans are replaced by artificial intelligence, and the other's negative way of seeing the future of the how artificial intelligence can impact society is that given the capabilities of artificial intelligence can dominate humankind. But this is more a journalistic point of view, and it's not necessarily fundamental based on what we have right now in artificial intelligence. The concept of trust, of course, it comes from the idea that when we are going to be giving some sort of trust to a component, we are putting some risk or to being harmed by the other agents that we are giving the trust. For example, when we talk about human-human interaction, we are giving the trusters, giving the possibility of being harmed by the other one, okay? But when we are going to be talking about matching component, the interactions is not very clear if this artificial intelligence that is performing these decisions make, or is an algorithmic approach based on the other human that was developing the artificial intelligence. So this kind of like generate a broad gray area that has to be analyzed in terms of ethical concepts. When we talk about giving trust, it's normally foreseen that there's three main components that have to be existent in order for have a trustful component. First, we have the lawful consideration that the component has to follow all the regulation locally and generally in the domain that's going to be applied. We have also the robust consideration, but the robust is not only in a technical perspective that is tend to be seen as, for example, in terms of metrics like accuracy, but also it can be seen as a societal robustness, that given the modifications that the society will have over time, the algorithm will be able to manage these modifications. And finally, we have the ethical considerations to consider a component to be trustful. Now, there's different ethical principles that be evaluated or incorporated on artificial intelligence assets. Nevertheless, there was a group of AI for people that came out with 5 principles of ethical characteristics that the artificial intelligence has to have in order to make sure that it's a trust component. These specific principles are non-maleficence, that is basically that the artificial intelligence is going to perform in such a way that it's not going to have a negative impact on humanity or the users. We have also the beneficence that they ideally will produce the outcome with a benefits for the user. We have the autonomy that, of course, should respect the people's autonomies and their decisions. Justice that is going to be performing in a fair way, and everything that is explainability or explicability that is related to the understanding of how the components make their predictions or the decisions that are going to be made by the assets involved in artificial intelligence. These 5 different principles were seen by the European Commission that could be implemented for the AI asset trustworthy. So it came out with a list of requirements that have to be fulfilled in order to deem an asset trustworthy. These requirements are 7, and you can see it right now on the screen. These 7 trustworthy requirements are not necessarily vinculated for the 5 principles mentioned before, because the beneficence was not considered for coming out into these 7 requirements. The requirements, for example, we have, as you can appreciate in the list, is human agency and oversight that is dedicated for the fundamental rights, human agency, and human oversight. We have also everything that related to technical robustness and safety, and everything that is going to be also dedicated for making sure that the performance of the AI asset stay in certain metrics and certain stages. We have also the privacy and data governance that maybe you have seen this on other presentations are very linked to the GDPR regulations that exist right now. We have the transparency component that is tend to be not only the explainability that has been seen as the strongest component dedicated because it has a technical consideration for the artificial intelligence community, but it also have other components like traceability, okay, and also communication to keep track of everything that the AI is performing. Also, we have in the 5th place the diversity, non-discrimination, and fairness that is dedicated for the consideration how the data has to be managed, and at the same time secure that the outcomes of the AI sets are going to perform or be produce fair results. We have society and environmental well-being that is encapsulate that given the possibility of use this asset in, for example, governmental, democratic, or the impact of the decision made to use different predictions is required to have a full analysis of how these predictions or definitions are implemented in the specific domains. And furthermore, it looked like the idea to minimize the energy consumption when artificial intelligence is developed, deployed, and used. Finally, we have the terms of accountability that include, for example, the terms of auditability, minimization of reporting on negative impacts, trade-offs, and redress. We will go in this course through all these lists. We're going to be specifying a little bit much on each one of these components. Now, when you have all these 7 requirements, it's not necessarily something that you can easily be implemented in the different artificial intelligence and the specific domains. Therefore, the first approach developed for the European Commission was to gather a group called High-Level Expert Group on Artificial Intelligence that during the 2018 and 2020 came with this tool called TAI, or the Assessment List for Trustworthy Artificial Intelligence, that is help their users in order to evaluate the trustworthiness level of the artificial intelligence component. This tool was first produced in the first stage, and given the evaluation by different stakeholders, was an improvement and finally released in the last version that is publicly accessible and everyone can evaluate. Now, so what are the goals and purposes of this TAI tool? So first is provide a basic assessment tool for self-evaluation of the AIs that are going to be implemented on the different domains. So it's not domain specific. This is super important because when you are doing assessment, is not necessarily doing the same as management, because when you are going to be managing the risk associated with the trustworthy component, you will have to focus in the specific domain on application and the functionalities that the artificial intelligence component has. The other thing is make you aware of relevant functionalities of your asset and see if they're, depending on the needs that your AI asset has, incorporate new ones. We have also the goal to help to understand trustworthy AI, and even though this course could give you a general perspective, I would recommend to visit and use the TAI tool to give you a sensation and awareness of everything related to trustworthy AI requirements. Also, promote involvement of all stakeholders. This is because different stakeholders could use or implement the TAI tool evaluation under the same AI asset and merge the result in order to keep a track of what will be the best approach to be implemented in the AI elements. And finally, gave insight on whether meaningful and appropriate solutions or processes exist. Everything of this is been so far a conversation about an assessment, but there are other approaches that will be discussed in the future too. Everything related to how you are going to be managing the risks derived for the trustworthy AI component. There are others approaches that exist, for example, as you can see in the slide, the value-based, that ethical considerations or ethical concepts is not necessarily the same as values that want to be incorporated depending on the users of the domain, and therefore you have to use different techniques to transfer the values into functionalities to be incorporated in artificial intelligence. Finally, of course, if you are going to jump into risk management, that is the highest level to produce or secure a good performance of the AI tool under trustworthy requirements, you will be using some different standards. And in the case, for example, in the manufacturing sector or different domains, the ISO or the RAPs are the base approach that can be used for foster this implementation. So in the complete course, we are going to cover first an introduction to ethical concepts with artificial intelligence, then we will jump to values and trust considerations, then we will cover every one of the trustworthy AI requirements, and finally we will be visiting the TAI tool for having an understanding how it can be used and how can you interact with it and have different feedbacks. Thank you very much, and this is for now.